Okay, we're now back. We're going to talk about the Securities and Exchange Acts of Congress, 1933, 1934, and how it relates to management fraud. We are delving into the details of the particulars of public financial statements and how they are important to the marketplace. They are important to the marketplace of the New York Stock Exchange, etc., because the public relies on these financial statements to make their decisions about what to buy and what not to buy. Meaning which company stock to buy and which company stock to sell. That's what makes our markets go. And we talked about financial statements in week September 21, but now we're just doing it a little bit more in depth and from a different perspective. So this is the Securities Exchange Act 1933-1934, all designed to help make our public markets safe and sound from the standpoint of giving transparency to the information of the company's stocks that we're buying. So in 1933, the first order of business, this came after the 1929 stock market crash, which led to what's still the Great Depression of the 20th century. This Great Depression was caused in part, but not necessarily in full, caused in part by the fact that financial statements that had been released about companies prior to 1929 were, well, they weren't all phony, but a lot were phony. Sounds like something for a fraud class. And it is. That's why we're talking about it. So financial statements were released that could not be relied on because there was no uniformity of auditing procedures. There was no governing body of auditors telling auditors how to do their job. And as a result, it was just a free-for-all. It was like the Wild Wild West. And investors bought stocks of companies thinking they were investing soundly, and then they found out that it was all smoke and mirrors. And so the Great Depression gave us the idea that we need to better control the transparency of these financial statements. So in 1933, the first act basically said that when a public company goes public for the first time, meaning they issue their first stock available to be bought by the public. It's the first time, they're new, it's a new company. And when that happens, the information that goes to the potential buyers of the new stock should be audited. So the information the buyers will get, we'll call that info buyers, will be audited financial statements. That was the first government act that started treading water. It was the first government act that first started dictating by our federal government what should be done when the public company stock is sold for the first time, that there should be an audited statement. So it was the first time the federal government got involved in saying, hey, there should be an audit. Let's get our CPAs to do the audit, and that's exactly what happened. Then, after that, the federal government in 1934 realized, well, that was a good idea to tell the first time a company sells stock that they should be transparent and people should know what they're buying. But what happens year 2, year 3, etc., down the line, the company goes on, and let's say I bought the stock based on the audited statement at the initial sell. So I saw an audited statement. I bought on the audited statement, and I'll say new, when the company was brand new. All right, great. Now it's year 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm wondering, how is the company doing? So I'll ask for their financial statement, it comes to me. It's not audited. There was no requirement to audit, no required to audit those futures financial statements. And I look at them and I say, "Holy cow! I don't know." Holy cow! I don't. Yeah, I say, "Holy cow! I don't know if these statements are telling me the truth or not." And so it looks good, but then the next morning I wake up and find the company's bankrupt. I get great looking statements and then they go bust. So in 1934, Congress realized this gap in their administration and enforcement of making sure the markets are sound and that there's transparency. And so what they did is they said, okay, now every year, even after the first stocks are sold, there should be annual financial statements and they should be audited as well. And that's what we live with today. You want to sell stock on the public markets, you want to sell stock publicly, great, go ahead, but you have to come and first get an audit of the first year and then the years every year afterwards. And the 1934 Act also created the Securities and Exchange Commission, which is lovingly called the SEC by those of us at the Smith School. And the SEC, the Securities Exchange Commission, let's write that out so you can sift through my Baltimore accent, which gets pretty heavy at times. Notice how I say it, the Securities Exchange Commission. Okay. All right, wise guy. Okay. They police, so to speak. That's a Baltimore expression, police. They police the public markets, the New York Stock Exchange, etc. They oversee these audits and the CPAs. They oversee to make sure that the brokers play fairly their game, that the brokers don't do anything wrong. The famous brokerage houses that are out there like Merrill Lynch, J.P. Morgan, Bank of America even, that when they sell financial products, they come under the jurisdiction of the Securities Exchange Commission that continues to monitor to make sure things are transparent and things are done fairly. So that's the 1934 Securities and Exchange Act, and that's how we get to the point where there's these certified, audited financial statements. Hence the word CPA, or the initials, Certified Public Accountant. Notice how I'm enjoying writing this out. I don't even know if I spelled it right. Certified in the sense of they are licensed to certify the audit opinions of financial statements for public companies. And who can do that? Well, accountants can do it. That's where the initial CPA comes. They do certified statements of public companies, and we're accountants, and that's why we have the wherewithal, the know-it-all to perform those services. Okie doke.